Good morning, afternoon, or evening. How are you doing today? Welcome to Mr. Morrow's algebra class. Today we're going to learn about 2.4, evaluating formulas and solving literal equations. When we're talking about solving literal equations, we're talking about solving for a variable. This is something that a lot of students look at and find scary for some reason. They get a little confused, but I promise you that there is nothing to be confused about. This is very easy. Okay, so let's get started. First, let's talk about what a formula is. A formula is a mathematical formula is an equation that describes how two or more variables are related. When you evaluate a formula, okay, think about the word evaluate. We've already learned that skill. You will substitute certain variables with given values and solve for the unknown variables. So remember, we've already seen evaluation. When you evaluate, for example, let's say you have x minus y, and then they tell you for x equals 2 and y equals negative 3. Well, this is very simple. You plug in the 2 for x minus a negative 3 for y, and 2 minus a negative 3, that's 2 plus 3, so the answer would be 5. You just evaluated an expression. When you evaluate, you plug in known values for variables that are given. All right, so that's pretty simple. Let's see how it works. The number of gallons of gas that you put in your car is found by using the formula C divided by P equals N, where capital C is the total cost, lowercase p is the price per gallon, and lowercase n is the number of gallons. How many gallons of gas can you buy for $55 if gas costs $3.98 per gallon? All right, well, let's look at the formula that was given to us. Okay, we have capital C over P equals N. Remember that capital C is the total cost, P is the price per gallon, and N is the number of gallons. So here, how many gallons, okay, so they're looking for N, of gas can you buy for $55, that is the total cost C, if gas costs $3.98 per gallon. That is your lowercase p, the price per gallon. So just go ahead and evaluate, plug it in. So you've got 55 divided by 3.98 equals N. All I did there was evaluate. I plugged in the known values into the variables of the formula that I was given. And when you do the math, 55 divided by 3.98, N equals roughly 13.8 gallons. Please remember that it's very important when we're dealing with formulas and evaluation that you have to always put the units. Units are very important. If you just put 13.8, no one really knows what you're talking about. Is it $13.8? Is it 13.8 gallons? Is it just 13.8? I mean, what is it? So whenever we're dealing with formulas and equations that have units, please remember to put the units. All right, let's check another one out. The formula S equals P minus 0.3P gives the sale price S of an item which originally cost P dollars that was reduced by 25%. Find the sale price of a pair of jeans that originally cost $50. All right, first of all, let's talk about this formula really quickly because it's a great formula to really understand. It's how percents work and how you figure out discounts and stuff in a very easy way. P is the original price, okay? And 0.30P, think about it. It's actually, this is wrong. Hold on for 1 second. Okay, sorry about that little typo there. P minus 0.25P. This 0.25 is the 25% of the original price. And think about when you have a discount, you're taking away, you're subtracting a value from the original value. So you have this original price P, and you have 25% of P, and you're going to subtract that 25% of P from the original cost. So now let's go ahead and figure out this formula. So let's see what we were given. Find the sale price, okay, sale price is S, of a pair of jeans that originally cost $50. So P is the original cost. So S, which is what we're looking for, equals 50 minus 25% of 50. So what are we going to have here? Well, let's do the math. We have 50 minus 0.25 times 50 is going to be 1250. And that is going to equal 3850. 3750 actually. So S equals 3750. The sale price equals $37.50 after you've taken away the 25%. All you had to do was just plug in the values. All right. Now let's talk about a formula that's used a lot, that's very important, and I really want you to understand it. It's called the simple interest formula. And the simple interest formula is capital I equals capital P times lowercase r times lowercase t, where P is principal. That's the beginning amount of money that you start with. Okay, that's what you invest or what you deposit, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Capital I is the actual interest earned or paid. That's a money value. Okay, interest is what you've earned or what you had to pay. That's a money value. Lowercase r is the interest rate. That is a percentage, which must be turned into a decimal when we're working with percentages. Remember, you have to turn them into a decimal. And lowercase t is time in years. So remember, when we're talking about time in years, this messes a lot of people up. It's easy when they just say, oh, it was an investment over 5 years. Okay, t is 5. But what if I say 6 months? It's not going to be 6. Please remember that there are 12 months in a year. So if they give you a number of months, just go ahead and divide what they gave you by 12, and that would be 1/2. So that would be 0.5 of a year. Okay? So please be very aware of any conversions that you have to make as far as time goes. All right, now, let's talk about the actual concept here. Interest, okay? I put it in green because the interest that you earn, all right, is money. So I put it in green. Interest is the amount of money paid for using borrowed money, plain and simple. Either you're borrowing money from a credit card or a bank, or the bank is borrowing money from you. Think about it. When you deposit money into a bank, the bank pays you interest. Why? Why would they pay you? Well, because they use your money to make money. They make investments, and they make money off of your money, and then they pay you for using your money. That's how banks work in a nutshell. Consumers, that's you and I, we pay interest to banks when they borrow money. Let's say I want to borrow $200,000 for a house. Well, they're not just going to give me that money for free. I have to pay what's called interest. Okay? So whether I'm borrowing the money or the bank is using my money or borrowing my money, there's a payment that has to be made. Now, the amount of money that consumers borrow from or deposit into the bank is called the principal. Notice it's also green because that is money. That is the amount of money that you borrowed or the amount of money that you deposited. Because remember, when you deposit money, that means you're adding money to your account in a bank. And when you're adding money to your account in a bank, they are using the money that you added. So that is why you get paid interest. I hope that makes sense. Now the rate of interest, it's in blue because it is not money, it is a percent. It is the percentage paid for the use of the borrowed money, and it's expressed as a percent. And we already talked about time. Let's see how this works. Chuck invested $1,500, okay, in an account. Sorry, I should have here. In an account. At the 3-year certificate deposit, okay, at the simple interest rate of 5%. And actually, let's go ahead. This is wrong. Chuck invested $1,500 in a certificate of deposit at the simple interest rate. Hold on, guys. Sorry about this. Chuck invested $1,500. Okay. For 3 years in a certificate of deposit at the simple interest rate of 5% per annum. Annum means yearly, so every year they pay him 5% for the use of that money. Find the amount of interest earned in 6 months. Find the total balance of Chuck's account after 6 months. Okay, well, let's use our formula. I equals P R T. What are they looking for? Find the amount of interest earned. Remember, interest earned is money, so that's my I. That's my capital I. In 6 months, that's time. So that's T. Okay, so I want to find the interest, and I know how much I invested because I invested $1,500, and that's my P. So I equals P, the amount invested, times R, the interest rate. The interest rate is right here. That's 5%. So that's 0.05 times T years. T is 6 months. Remember, that's half a year. So that's 0.5. Again, it's just simple evaluating using the formula that they gave you. So when you multiply 1,500 times 0.05 times 0.5, you're going to get interest equals $37.50. That is the amount that you earned, okay? That is the amount that you earned. Now, how much do you have? The second part of the question is, find the total balance. Well, let's talk about this. Balance is the total amount you have inside of your account, okay? Total amount in an account. Okay? Balance is the total amount in an account. And the balance is going to equal the principal, what you started with, plus the interest that you have earned. So in this particular case, Chuck's balance equals the $1,500, okay? And $1,500 plus the interest rate of $37.50. Okay? So his total balance is going to be $1,537. $1,537.50. Now, I just realized something. There's 2 different times here. I started and I said 3 years, but it's really 6 months. So we use the 6 months. Do not do the 3-year one. Okay? We'll do the 3-year one now in a second. Let's say that you're going to have to write this one down. This one's not on your PDF, guys. Let's say that I invest, I don't know, $750, okay, in a simple interest account. Paying 4% interest per year. How much interest is earned after 4 years. All right. Less confusion on this one. Hopefully this will make it very easy now. Sorry about that first one. There's a lot of confusion there. Okay. So I have, remember, I equals PRT. I'm looking for I. So my total interest earned is going to equal my P principal, which is $750. That's what I started with, times my interest rate of 0.04, that's 4%, turn into a decimal, for T years, which is 4 years. So when I go ahead and do that math, 750 times 0.04 times 4 will equal $120. Remember, that is the interest that I have earned. If I want to find my balance, it is my principal plus the interest earned. So in this case, it is $750 plus $120. So my balance in my account after 4 years of earning interest would be $870. All right? Hope that makes sense, guys. All right. Now, when solving for a variable, okay, we're going to switch to something new now. When solving for a variable known as literal equations, you will be asked to solve for one particular variable which must be isolated. Okay, you got to isolate that particular variable. Using the equation skills we have learned thus far. It is very easy as long as you remember the technique for solving multi-step equations. Now remember, when we're talking about multi-step equations, we learned those steps. You got to know them. In order to solve literal equations, you must, 1, determine the variable you're solving for. Extremely important. You got to find the variable you're solving for. And 2, use the same techniques for solving multi-step equations in order to isolate the desired variable. Your answer will include numbers and or variables. Don't freak out. I know that a lot of times we're just used to saying, okay, x equals 9 or x equals 5 or y equals 17. But in this case, you're going to have perhaps y equals x plus z. And you're going to have to be cool with that. You're just trying to isolate the variable, okay, that they're looking for. Let's go ahead and practice. We have a whole bunch of practice here, and I think it's going to help us out. Solve for the indicated variable in the parentheses. Okay, so for this first one, we're solving for t. So the first thing to do is isolate t. My t is right there, all right? Solve the equation like normal. There's no distributive property. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to combine like terms. This is basically a one-step equation, a single-step equation. You ask yourself, what is the relationship between the I, the R, and the T? Are they being added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided? And hopefully you know that they are being multiplied. Now the question is, how do I cancel multiplication? With division. So I'm going to divide IR to both sides. So P divided by IR equals T. Done. T has been solved for. Number 2. A equals 2 times parentheses L plus W. Now, we can go ahead and distribute, but that's going to take a little bit long. Okay? Let me show you both ways actually. A equals 2L plus 2W. Okay? I want to isolate the 2W. 2L is being added to 2W, so I want to get rid of this positive 2L. So I subtract 2L to both sides. So I have A minus 2L equals 2W. I want to get rid of the 2 that is being multiplied to the W, so I divide by 2 to both sides, and W will equal A minus 2L over 2. And if I want to simplify that, remember that the 2 gets divided to the A and the 2L. So W equals A over 2 minus 2L over 2, which is just L. So either of these would be considered correct, even though this guy is the most simplified. Now, in my opinion, I think that's the long way. Okay? There's a much easier way, in my opinion, and it goes directly to the simplified version of this, and it works like this. I know that 2 has to be distributed to these guys, okay? However, if I get rid of that 2, I already free the prisoners inside of the parentheses. So why don't I go ahead and just divide 2 to both sides, and I have A over 2 equals now L plus W. They have been released from prison, and I'm solving for W, So I subtract L to both sides, and guess what? It's already nice and simplified. A over 2 minus L equals W, and you are golden. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's do some more. Different types. Y equals 5x minus 6. I want to solve for x. All right, well, I got 5x minus 6 equals y. Two-step equation. Undo addition and subtraction first. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Y plus 6 equals 5x. I got to solve for x. 5 is being multiplied to x, so I cancel out multiplication with division. Y plus 6 over 5 equals x. Done. Number 4, I got 2x minus 3y equals 8, and I want to solve for y. Okay, I want to isolate y. Got a two-step equation here. I got a positive 2x is being added to negative 3y. So I'm going to get rid of that 2x by subtracting 2x to both sides, because I undo addition and subtraction first. That cancels. I got negative 3y equals negative 2x plus 8. I want to solve for y. Negative 3 is being multiplied to y. So I divide negative 3 to both sides. Y equals negative 2x plus 8 over negative 3. Simplified, it would be, remember, you divide this to this, and negative 3 to the 8 as well. So negative 2x divided by negative 3 would be 2x over 3, and 8 divided by negative 3 would be minus 8 thirds. And you are done. All right, let's check out some other ones. Let's do some fractions here. I got x plus y divided by 3 equals 5. I want to solve for x. Okay, the first things first, I want to get rid of this denominator. How do we get rid of denominators? That's right, by multiplying. So I'm going to multiply 3 over 1 to both sides, because remember, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal always to get rid of any fractions or fractional parts. So the 3's cancel out here. I've got x plus 3 plus y now released. 5 times 3 is 15. I'm solving for x, so I want to get rid of this positive y. So I subtract y to both sides. X equals 15 minus y. Done. Solved for x. Y equals mx plus b. This is going to be a very popular equation with us. This is actually the form of linear equations, and we're going to talk all about that in a different chapter. But let's go ahead and learn how to manipulate this right now. Y equals mx plus b. I want to solve for b. Well, this was a real easy one. This is going to be a one-stepper because mx is being added to b. So how do I get b all alone? I subtract mx to both sides, and y minus mx equals b. Done. Okay, number 7. ax plus by equals c. I want to solve for y. Again, it's a two-step equation. I got this ax that's being added to the by, so let's subtract this ax to both sides. Those cancel. I got by equals c minus ax. I want to solve for y. B is being multiplied to y, so let's divide b to both sides. And y equals c minus ax over b. Done. Okay. A equals 1/2 height plus b, or h plus b times b plus c. A equals 1/2 of h times parentheses b plus c. I want to solve for b. Okay. Let's not flip out here. This is easy. Let's go step by step. First of all, let's make this prettier. 1/2 times h, isn't that going to equal h over 2 times parentheses b plus c? Hopefully you understood that. Because 1 times h is h, and 2 times 1 is 2, so that's h over 2. I want to get rid of that h over 2, guys. I can distribute it, but that's going to be a mission. That's going to take a long time. A better way to get rid of a fraction is by multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply 2 over h to both sides. 2's get canceled, the h's get canceled, and I have 2a over h equals B plus C, and now they are released from prison and they can move freely. I am solving for B, so since I'm solving for B, I have to get rid of that positive C. Again, since I have to solve for that B, I have to get rid of that positive C. So I'm going to subtract C to both sides. And I've got 2A over H minus C equals B. And I am done. All right, let's move on. 7x minus y equals 14. At this point, this should be getting easy already. I want to solve for x. I want to get x all alone. So I got to get rid of this negative y by adding y to both sides. 7x equals 14 plus y. I'm going to go ahead and divide 7 to both sides because 7 is being multiplied to x. I cancel multiplication with division. The 7's cancel. X equals 14 plus y over 7. Done. Okay, R equals E over I. Okay, don't get stressed here. All right, remember how to get rid of fractions. Multiply. I want to solve for I, but I is in the denominator, so I got to get it to the numerator. So how do I do that? Multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply I over 1 to both sides. So the i's cancel. And I've got I times R equals E. Now I have I in the numerator, which is where I always want the variables that I'm solving for. It's being multiplied to R. So I'm going to go ahead and divide R to both sides. So therefore I will equal E divided by R. And you are done. All right, let's continue. I got x equals yz divided by 6. I want to solve for z. Okay, I got to get rid of this 6 here in the denominator, so I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal, which is 6 over 1, to both sides. So I've got 6x equals, 6 is canceled, yz. Z is being multiplied to y, so I'm going to get rid of this y by dividing y to both sides. 6x over y equals z. Done. Solved for z. I got A equals R over 2L. I got 2L in the denominator here, guys. That's not going to work for me, so I got to get it to the numerator. So I'm going to multiply 2L over 1 to both sides. So I'm going to have 2L times A equals, the 2L's cancel, R. I got to solve for L. 2 is being multiplied to L, and A is being multiplied to L. I cancel multiplication with division, so I'm going to divide 2A to both sides. The 2's cancel, the A's cancel, L equals R over 2A. Done. Hope this is starting to flow now, my friends. All right. How about A equals A plus B plus C divided by 3. I want to solve for B. Don't stress. Get rid of this denominator. That's the key here. So multiply by the reciprocal. Multiply 3 over 1 to both sides. I'm going to have 3 capital A equals lowercase a plus lowercase b plus lowercase c. I want to solve for b, so I got to get rid of this positive a and this positive c. So I'm going to subtract I'm going to subtract lowercase a. 3a minus little a. Remember, I cannot add those because they're not like terms. Equals b plus lowercase c. Subtract the c to both sides. You can't add or combine any of these because they're not like terms. So 3a minus lowercase a minus c equals b. And you are done. B is isolated in the numerator and loving it. Okay. Volume equals length times width times height. Solve for length, or solve for capital L. Well, L, W, and H are being multiplied. I cancel multiplication with division. So I'm going to divide WH to both sides. So I have V equals W divided by WH equals L. Done. Okay. X equals 2y minus 4 divided by z. Remember what I told you. Whenever it's in the denominator, I got to bring it to the numerator. So I'm going to multiply z over 1 to both sides. So I have zx equals 2y minus 4. I want to solve for z. The relationship between z and x is multiplication. I cancel multiplication with division. I divide x to both sides. Z equals 2y minus 4 over x. Done. Last but not least, my friends, P equals R minus C divided by N. Solve for R. Okay, I got to get rid of this N so I could free up the R in the numerator. So I'm going to multiply by N over 1 to both sides. So I've got NP equals, the N's cancel, R minus C. I'm solving for R. I got to get rid of this negative C. I get rid of a negative with a positive, so I add C to both sides. And I've got NP plus C equals R. And you are done. And that is our last page. And I hope you learned a lot. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.